Whoa, perfect timing, Joe. Welcome to the Council on Future Conflict. My name is Scott. I'm the proprietor of the Future Conflict channel. Today we're talking Trump versus the world, the Lavant Entanglements. This is episode 551. I just can't believe, it's like, I know we're 50 episodes past 500, but man, it's just like seeing that we've done 500 of these episodes, man. That's a considerable body of work.
We should do something special for episode 556.
Ooh.
Something green tipped and penetrating.
Big.
Big.
Well, I didn't think we wanted the WNBA on, but
okay. Did you see the net cage they're talking about putting around the court now? Oh my God. That was well timed, Watcher. All right. Today we're talking Trump versus the world, Lavant Entanglements. So Lavant Entanglements, that's Israel, Lebanon, Syria. We've got stories about each of those. And then we've also got, Trump literally, say what you will about the man. But Trump has decided that I think his goal in life is to bring all the bacon home to America by hook or by crook. Sometimes that'll piss people off. Like I know there's a lot of people that are pissed off about the tariffs on a lot of different parts of that. But, it's shockingly not damaging as much as, but let's give it another year to see how it works out because, the world will change in about 5 minutes of, a lot of 5 minutes in the next year. So we'll see. But the point is that all of his peace deals, and we're kind of be talking about a bunch of that, all of his peace deals tend to be,
You win. I'm sorry. You win, Yard. Boy,
yeah.
Oh, boy.
And who says freedom of speech is gone in Canada? I present you, Yard Boy.
He can put out spicy chats like that, but he just can't go in the national or the Crown Forest.
That's exactly right. He can't go stand under
in the
trees.
King's Forest. Yes.
There will be no touching of the grass in Canada.
All right. Joe, how you doing, brother?
Objection, Your Honor.
Talk about the event this weekend real quick. That was pretty cool. You were dropping a lot of really cool.
That was a good time, and I should have made a little bit of a video montage of all the photos we took. But this weekend, I went to Whiskey, Blades, and Heroes, which was a Whiskey, Blades, and the Brave. I'm sorry. It was a fundraiser for 3 different veterans charities, Camp Ponderosa being one of them. The other 2 being Dog Tag Buddies and the Veterans Coalition. And Veterans Coalition does a lot to prevent suicide. Dog Tag Buddies provides canine service dogs, and we provide sort of a retreat location. So, there we go. There's some photos. It was sponsored by Willie's Distillery, who makes the outstanding Devil's Brigade whiskey. I actually got to sit with Willie and his wife all night. He was at our table with Alan, Linda, and I. Fantastic people. I believe that Willie's will be sending us some artwork for our own team room at the dining hall. He gave me a couple personalized bottles, including one for the G Camp in North Carolina. And just a great dude. He's going to be a partner going forward in some of the events we're having because he believes in what we're doing. And we raised over $46,000 at this event with an auction. And when you have an auction in most of the country, it's a fundraising auction. It's a silent auction where you drop your ticket in somewhere. This is Montana, and they do everything in the old ways. And we had an actual auctioneer up there on stage and auctioned off some things like a handmade custom axe for somewhere in the neighborhood of $17,000, a couple sets of knives by the owner of Rucker Knives, a local knife maker for somewhere around $15,000, and really cool. And there was a table in the middle that had 8 spots at it that was dedicated to 8 local veterans who took their own lives. So everyone was putting money on that table and all that stuff as a fundraiser too. Wanda, you're talking about peach whiskey is a sure way to get banned from the chat forever. So no, there was no peach whiskey. But It was pretty darn good stuff, and everyone who came got a free bottle of Willie's. But we scored a couple extra for some of the homies, and I was able to put him in touch with Colonel Mike Bennett, who is also a former Green Beret. Willie from Willie's Distributing is a former Green Beret, and they're going to do some partnership too. It was just a fantastic event. There were about 140 people at it, and a lot of them owned businesses and were really willing to give to the causes that we had there. So absolutely fantastic event. Really enjoyed it. So thanks to the good people at Buffalo Saloon for hosting it. Thanks to Evergreen Liquor for well, you know what you did, Michelle. And thanks to Willie from Willie's Distributing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I was definitely there was a lot of events that you attend, Joe, that I'm kind of jealously watching from across this other side of the world. And well, you're not on the other side of the world, Watcher. You're just
other side of the country, but yeah,
other side of the country from Montana.
Well, now he's in Montana, but before he was.
You hear this, Joe?
You
hear what I'm hearing? Anyway. Anyway, like I said, I'm watching it from far away, and so it's it's definitely giving me kind of things to do in the in the future, hopefully. So I'm making my goals.
Well, apparently, I'm hearing he was pleased with the fact that we've been making the Derby pie with Devil's Brigade consistently.
Oh, so, yeah, actually, Willie was very happy with that. Yeah.
I think Scott had a good idea, but I think I'm going to put some time and some research into it, and we might have to release a very specific Ponderosa pie.
A Ponderosa variant Derby pie. Yeah, it would still, if you love Derby pie, it will still get essentially the same thing, but Watcher can put his special sauce in it, and one of those special sauce would be Devil's Brigade.
What's funny is it all started by accident, right? So last year we had no other whiskey in the house except for a little bit of Devil's Brigade that was meant for Ron Moeller, and we opened that up, and then this year we just went with it because that's what we used before. And so I told Willie that's now the official whiskey of our own version of Derby pie. So he's like, I love it. It's a great idea. So yeah, and be prepared. Good call. Washer's special sauce? ?
Well,
I mean,
all right.
It's just whiskey. So
yeah.
And Hunch, I just saw your message. I'm sorry I messed up your bet. My apologies.
Watcher, how you doing?
Good. Good. Afloat. I'm in that weird moment after I have set up a brand and I've done my first couple of jobs, and then I've slapped the branding on my truck. So yeah, I'm excited. It's good.
Nice.
Do a little less internet watching because of it, but that's probably healthy all in all.
All in all, I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe the internet's not good for you. Shocking.
I know. Well, too much of a good thing is always bad, right?
That's right. All right, gentlemen.
I got to say that's a good photo. Is that recent?
I'm gonna say I don't know. It was just the best high res photo I could find in a 5 minute. Well, I made the whole, so it was a regular color photo. I made it black and white and put a little additional flair on it. But yeah.
Well, speaking of additional flair,
by the way, I want to go back in the chat and address something. First of all, Low-Key LARP, welcome back. I think you were missing for a couple of days there. Gifted 5 subs to Future Conference. Thank you very much. And our very own Old Hong Kong is back with us too. Jim, how are you doing, brother?
I'm good. Good morning, guys.
I like how you like low key flexes with that I
Wow.
voted sticker right next to the BMW.
Man, you know, that's kind of the way it works, right? That was better than the flock of sheep I did for years.
Yeah.
I knew Watcher was getting tired of my flock of sheep.
Well, no, I had a thought the other day. Here pretty soon, BMWs will be unremarkable as everything will be driven by a robot.
Yeah, well, I described myself as a robot the other day to someone, so
Huh, there you go.
I seem to have replicable skills.
Well,
Oh,
it's
no,
this
no,
one.
I-
You have one of these yet, Jim?
Oh
Because
yeah, they're great. The spike.
I'm gonna raise a protest with our mutual friend Brandon because I got this cool silver one, and then I found out they come in black, and now I'm just
He's like, oh man, now I got to buy another one.
But the
No,
good news is you and I will both be bachelors this week, so there could be trouble had in Big Fork. I'm just gonna
no kidding, man. No kidding. So, what's going on in Asia, Scott?
I mean, apparently
Funny you
the
should
Chinese have decided they've got such a large navy and Coast Guard that they could just play bumper ship with them, right in front of. This is a tweet from Jay Terrella. He's the spokesperson for the Philippine Coast Guard. And so here's the video capturing the collision between the PLA Navy 164 and the China Coast Guard 3104. The Philippine Coast Guard has consistently urged Chinese government to respect the coal regs and to approach these matters with professionalism, especially considering their role in enforcing maritime laws. We have also emphasized that such reckless behavior would ultimately lead to accidents. No, you don't say. These guys are bearing down on him, and I can't remember if it's like right about here that
no. So if you this is a long battle, Scott. So the first clip that we got is after large. Oh yeah,
right there. Yeah. So there's an earlier portion of the video where the destroyer is literally right up on the ship. And they basically turned away and then came back in and were essentially trying to ram the Philippines. I mean, there's no other way to interpret that. And it's to ram the Philippine Coast Guard vessel. And in fact, what they did was they destroyed that. I don't think there's any fucking way you salvage that boat. I mean, you tow it back to port and then you scrap it.
it just is a new valve cap on it. It was just mostly empty.
And then you toss all the officers in jail. So put on your party discipline hat, boys.
Funnily enough, we've had ships survive worse than this.
They're
built in sections, so they can chop that off and slap a new one on.
If you notice, the bow is angled up now. It's because they're like shifting weight to the back, taking in water in order to get the bow out of the water.
They got brake checked. I don't know. See, I see this in years of sibling instincts say, stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself.
Yeah. This is embarrassing, but it's dangerous. And I mean, over the years, we've talked about what kicks things off. It's this kind of error being made by a vessel or an aircraft. I mean, we had Wang Wei who flew into the EP3. We've had this. The Chinese still can't seem to sort this shit out. So they'll continue to happen. And I tell you, the Philippines, they are incredibly patient with this bullshit. But at some point, it's not going to go well.
Well, some point that destroyer is going to time it. They're going to have somebody competent to time that maneuver right to basically T-bone one of these Coast Guard cutters and forget about shooting. I mean, that's when you're going to have a bunch of dead Philippine Coast Guard, and you're going to have footage of it probably out there too. So
the attempted outrage harvesting that's going on will lead to a calamity at some point, right? That's always the problem with this kind of shit, this tit for tat stuff. And the Chinese are excellent at it until they fuck up. And this is a minor fuck up, but What you don't want to have happen is have multiple countries involved in some of these, and they're you're getting these atypical groupings. So the Indians show up to work with the Philippines, they show up to work with the Vietnamese. It turns out that the Indians want to work with the Taiwanese, and the Filipinos want to work with the Taiwanese. So at some point, one of these combos is going to set the Chinese off, and we've got to keep an eye on the activity around Batanes and the Bataan Islands up north of Luzon and Pratas Reef and all the other ones.
Yeah, it was just this weekend you had the Chinese surrounding that one northern island.
Batanes.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an issue, and they're going to start playing with the Philippines the way they play with Taiwan, which is just overwhelming, repetitive. Touch. But the difference is they have very little respect for the Filipinos.
I feel like how the Filipinos put Winnie the Pooh on there. That was classic.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, so this is going to continue. The Philippines, again, this is why I said that they need those Japanese destroyer escorts. Even though it may not be optimal, it would be effective. And they're going to have to start putting vessels out that maneuver better. So that they can evade these idiocies, right? So, 26 knots is good, but 35 would be better.
The sad thing is we might have just found a use for the LCSs. Say what you will, but those things were pretty fast, if I remember correctly.
They could sprint. They could sprint.
They're just they had a very sharp bow. So yeah. And the other thing is if you notice, after the collision, the Chinese Navy ship seemed to up its pursuit of the BRP vessel. Yeah. And I think that their intent was to put that one on the bottom, and then they could cover up the whole story, right?
I think that's the only reason they tried to do this, because that Coast Guard ship was probably the only one out there. There were probably no other Philippine ships in the vicinity.
So the program this ship is doing is taking fuel out to the fishing boats.
Yeah.
So it goes out to help out the fishing boats, because this is quite a ways away for indigenous fishing, right? But the Philippines has a long-term indigenous fishing fleet that goes out to these various features and fishes. And the Chinese have been trying to chase them off. But if you're in an indigenous vessel, they don't tend to harass you as badly as a modern Coast Guard vessel. But the Coast Guard goes out to give fuel, water, and make sure everybody's okay, and bring people in if they're sick, and they do their job, right? The Chinese are just so way out of the box on this. It's really rather terrifying.
Well, and the other thing too is that I don't feel like the Chinese are showing a great amount of competency in their naval, and maybe that's because they're building so really fast.
Well, they also don't have as little history they have of having an army, because again, the PLA is only 50 years old. Their history of having a navy is even smaller, and their history of having a functional operating navy is significantly smaller than that.
I agree with Watcher on that. But if you look at the woman who was at the helm on that Coast Guard boat, that's going to really burn the Chinese ass.
Oh yeah.
I just
They're
want to
not
make
what you call
prediction.
diversity hires, are they?
No.
I'd like to make one more prediction informed by history. If we look back at the Cod Wars between Great Britain and Iceland, one of the reasons that Iceland won in the end is that Iceland was using smaller and if I remember correctly, fiberglass hulled vessels, although I could be wrong, which were significantly easier and faster to repair, which ended up making it a dollars to dollars war. And so I'm just saying that the Philippines does have things it can do. Maybe vessels designed to play bumper boats a little more sturdily.
Yeah, so I think what's going to happen here is at some point a large Chinese vessel will become disabled or run aground, and then the Chinese will have to overreact. That's my guess. You have one of those. What was that? That's the Guilin, I think. That specific ship. You have one of those go up on the reef. the Chinese will have no choice but to come down and extract punishment, right? And it's that kind of event that is ugly in the South China Sea.
Based on the hull number,
I remain hopeful.
Based on the hull number, I think that was the Chengdu destroyer,
which
is normally an escort for the Liaoning aircraft carrier. So it's actually one of their premier destroyers that was in the middle of this.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, look at that. At first, I thought they must have done some kind of damage control measure, like putting some kind of membrane over it. Nope. That's just folded in on itself.
That's the crumple zone. That's the crumple zone,
right. It's made for the impact, right?
It reminds me of the old Polish.
To that up, so
it reminds me of the old Polish dog joke, We gotta have the Han Chinese PLA and dog joke here. This is going to be a good one.
The only pocket sand thrown in this was China's own pocket sand, and it landed in their own eyes.
Oh dear. Well, this is a painful moment for the propagandists, but we'll see what happens. I wish the Philippines well. I need to run, guys, but I had to get on and laugh about this with you.
Oh yeah. This is a good one. Jim, real quick before you go, Watcher, put up the video I just shared in the private chat.
Oh yeah.
I think this is the victory celebration afterwards. This is what the Chinese are not going to be happy about.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. There she is.
The helmswoman is a female. So
talaga maganda.
Congratulations to her. All right, Jim, we appreciate you jumping in on this.
All right, man. You guys have a good day. Lots of love to everybody.
Yep. Thank you so much.
Same. Man, the only thing that could make that video more Filipino is if they were eating balut.
Yeah, so this is exactly right. It was two Chinese ships trying to hit the Philippines and accidentally hitting each other, which is, there is some irony there. And that the Philippine vessel is smaller than the Chinese Coast Guard vessel. So it's, of the three vessels, the Philippine vessel, I believe, is the smallest of. Let's see. I mean, we can pull up a picture here real quick. Let's see if I can find one. Yeah, here we go. It basically looks like a Coast Guard, like an old school Coast Guard cutter.
It probably is one of our old school Coast Guard cutters, because that's
kind of how that works.
Navy is.
Yeah. So I'm sharing. Here's a image of the.
They ran another one off earlier in the weekend that was actually a research vessel.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, 4406.
Shoot. Give me a second. I can blow that up.
Jay Clark, so you're saying an Asian female driver caused an accident?
They are weaponizing the special skill.
It's their superpower.
And it's C-130 Guru. I think they almost did right then. You know what? I just figured out who C-130 Guru is.
Here's the interesting thing about this is if a ship goes down, and there'll probably be a Chinese ship, and when that happens, it's like what Jim was saying. It'll be because of an accident, because they're getting way too aggressive, and the Chinese will exact revenge for that. It's like literally, we're going to fuck up and we're going to take it out on you, Philippines. And so, unfortunately, it'll be something like the Coast Guard ship you see here going down first, and then the Philippines will probably, I don't know how that's going to end up, but South Korea has had patrol vessels like this sunk and didn't go to war over it. So it's possible that Philippines doesn't go to war over losing one of these in a hostile fire accident. But there's a lot more kind of tension, I feel, between on a day-to-day basis between the Philippines and the North Koreans and the South Koreans right now.
Oh, I think you're totally right. I will say, gosh, that We used to know how to build boats. She's got good lines, man. I like that.
I mean, I don't know that that's one of ours for sure. I mean, it looks like it could be, but
is that some sort of a message board on the side of the ship?
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
Probably says China is at home.
China is at all right. Anything else on China, Philippines we want to talk about here?
No, just that yeah, there is real quick. Filipinos are some of the best sailors you're going to find in the world, and they're pretty good at this small craft. And I know you might think that's not a small craft. In the world of navies, Coast Guard cutters are small craft, and the Filipinos, there's actually no one better at this than them. So,
Scott.
They're really good at what they do, and they're really good at the small craft inter-island operations, and they're solid.
Littoral kind of operations, yeah. I mean, the Philippine Navy is essentially a littoral force because of I mean, how many islands are there in the Philippines? 1,000? I don't know.
There is in excess of 6,000 islands.
Yeah. So
there are a ton of them, and mostly small ones, and they're really good at this. Also, if you look around at the cruise ship fleets, they're littered with Filipinos, merchant marine of various navies or of various nations, all Filipinos. And you'll find a lot of Filipinos serving on United States Navy ships. So.
Yeah. All right.
Yes,
so you're right, Scott.
It would have been funny if they put "ha ha ha" on the LED screen. Yes.
What's that?
It was built by Japan.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, they're probably using our plans, or or a variant of the kind of stuff we were doing, because I mean, overcomplicating a Coast Guard ship is a quick way to make a very poor decision. Much poorer.
That's why it's probably not ours then.
Well, the old school Coast Guard vessels were pretty,
simple. I liked them.
Simple, and all right. This next story is predictable, I guess. About every 3 months, it says here, Haiti declares a 3-month state of emergency as gangs ravage country's central region. Well, about every 3 months, we talk about Haiti. And it's almost always bad, and it usually gets worse.
Seasonal.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know if there are seasons in Haiti, right? I mean, it's kind of
seasonal.
Beautiful weather. Beautiful weather all year long just gives them more time to kill each other. The government of Haiti announced Saturday it would implement a 3-month state of emergency in the country's central region due to gang violence, as opposed to, say, the coast region or some other region where there's more gang violence. The measure will cover Haiti's west and Arbonite and center departments. I love how they use department like the old French, departments.
Well, that's based on that, yeah.
You and I both know this, yes.
Much
I just didn't realize
it has parishes instead of counties.
Right. To continue the fight against insecurity and respond to the agricultural and food crisis, the government said, we're sure the Clintons and pal Laura Silsby could help by rescuing 33 more Haitian children only, from said state of emergency. The affected region is known as Haiti's rice basket, which has seen gangs killing farmers or forcing them to abandon fields as they raise nearby communities. Killing the farmers and then eating the farmers doesn't make the crops grow. So just letting you know that, Haitian cannibals. From October 2024 until the end of June 2025, over 1,000 people have been killed, over 200 injured, and 620 kidnapped in the Arbonite and central departments and nearby areas, according to the Associated Press. Gang violence has displaced more than 239,000 people in Haiti's central region, according to the UN. In late April, dozens of people waded and swam across the country's largest river in a desperate attempt to flee gangs. On Friday, the government appointed a new interim director general to oversee Haiti's national police, which is working with the Kenyan police officers leading the youth. Remember that, Joe? When they sent the Kenyan police there, I'm like, are the Kenyan police prepared for this?
The Kenyan military police hold the airport and the seaport, and that's it. But the bulk of the heavy lifting here will now be done by the company formerly known as Blackwater. Eric Prince is now in charge of policing in Haiti.
Where do you think they're pulling personnel from? What countries do you think are supplying most of that? African countries or?
No, you mean for the Blackwater operation?
Yeah, where are they getting their TCN?
United States, the United Kingdom.
Oh, so they're U.S. nationals that are actually going in there and doing the security contracts.
UK. Yeah.
Let's see. Let me look that up. I was not tracking that. Let me see if we can pull up a little something about that and get a little more details.
Listen, Caravaggio, Prince has never not been in the mix. He might have been under the surface, but he's always been in the mix. So, just saying. All over the world.
And
once again, sticks. I know we talked about why, and I get it. Like, my brain can still get the words out, right? Like, it makes you look like you're holding something at a glance, which is better protection than nothing. But my brain just goes, how do we still get so many pictures of guys holding sticks like guns?
It's collapsed behavior, right? Trying not to become somebody else. He just wants people to glance at him and be like, I'll pick somebody else. Yeah. But my man did find a nice stick. That is a nice stick. And I keep saying that the next Scout and Recce course, we should start with a stick finding contest. And whoever finds the best stick becomes a squad leader.
Well, but Thor's going to be squad leader every time.
It's an important skill.
So this is a New York Times story from back in the end of May, so about a month and a half ago. A desperate Haiti turns to Eric Prince, Trump ally, to fight against gangs. The Haitian government has signed a contract with Mr. Prince, the private military contractor who founded Blackwater, a company notorious for civilian massacres in Iraq.
It was false and salacious, actually.
Right.
There were not that many civilians in Tahrir Square. I'm just going to put that
The sad thing is, Joe, that the only thing that is true about that statement is that they are notorious for that event. Not that the event actually occurred, but they definitely
occurred, and at least not in the way in which it was projected.
Right. Well, yeah. Anyway, let's see. Eric Prince and a private, Mr. Blackwater signed a contract to take on criminal groups that have been killing civilians and seizing control of vast areas of territory. Haiti's government has hired American contractors, including Prince, in recent months to work on a secret task force to deploy drones meant to kill gang members. Security experts said Mr. Prince's team has been operating the drones since March. He probably has a bunch of Russian and Ukrainian guys in separate compounds so they don't start flying the drones at each other. Let's see, it's been operating the drone since March, but the authorities have yet to announce the death or capture of a single high-value target. Security experts said Mr. Prince has also been scouting Haitian American military veterans to hire to send to Port-au-Prince and is expected to send 150 mercenaries to Haiti over the summer. I bet you could get some pretty decent money if you're a Haitian American willing to go to Haiti over this.
Let me assure you that you can, at least as far as Haiti dollars go. But here's the thing. It says they haven't announced the killing of a single high-value target. If you're the government and you have foreigners that you've hired to kill your own citizens, you don't frequently announce it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Let's see. Just looking to see if there is anything more recent that might.
I love the wording of that too. The State Department, which has provided millions of dollars in funding to equip and train Haiti's police force, says they are not paying Eric Prince. No, but they know for a fact that the money they're giving Haiti is going to Eric Prince.
Right. That's exactly right. Like, we're going to give you $10 million. Eric Prince is going to come and tell you to give him $10 million to secure your country. Now you know what to do with the $10 million we give you. Let's see. I'm looking on X to see if there's anything recent. They're talking about him. When he went to Haiti, he had his Blackwater watch on.
Yeah, right. And Clippy's Revenge, their main problem is not a lack of police to handle the gangs. Their main problem is the people who live in Haiti.
Yeah. Anyway, not a whole lot recent on this. So if you're not hearing anything, that probably means that everything is actually going fairly well. It'd only be in the news if everybody's just looking for him to step on a rake, which is unfortunate because stepping on a rake means that bad things will happen to Haiti. So I just don't know why anybody would be rooting for that.
It's ironic, and it's about the culture, because right down the middle of the island, there's a line and a wall. And one side of that wall is Haiti, and the other side is Dominican Republic. And life is incredibly different on both sides. It's just the culture that's been on one side of that island and a culture that's never been on the other side of the island. Extra credit points for the first person in the chat who doesn't Google it to give the name of the island. Everyone said, I'm going to Haiti, but what's the name of the island Haiti is on?
I know. All right. I
just want to give a nod to a former guest and Weirdo Screwball, former Taliban prisoner. Lord Miles has decided his next project is taking over Haiti and ruling it as a king. He's decided that is his place in the 21st century.
Sorry, everyone. Guyver Mecton beat you all to it by about a half a second on Jay Clark. So Guyver Mecton wins.
Well, me not saying it when I said I knew what it was, saved you all.
It is also the island that Christopher Columbus landed on.
That's right. Let's see. I got a watcher. I dropped a news story in the private chat. This seems to be a more recent story. Now, I have no idea what the bias is here. It's called Inside Crime. Looks like it focused on South and Central America. And with a name like Insight Crime, clearly that's what they're talking about, crime. Private military contractors have all been part of Latin America's war on drugs, typically under the direction of the United States. But today, regional governments are increasingly turning to foreign contractors directly, especially Prince, for help with urgent security crisis. Prince's career has been let's get to what is actually going on in Haiti.
By the end of Trump's first term.
Okay, here we go. Lethal anti-gang ops in Haiti. Since early 2025, Prince has reportedly expanded operations in Haiti, where the security crisis continues to worsen. Gangs now control an estimated 85% of the capital, Port-au-Prince. In March, Haitian government hired several U.S. contractors, including a company owned by Prince, to carry out lethal anti-gang operations. Prince has been recruiting Haitian American military veterans for deployment to Port-au-Prince and is expected to send up to 150 mercenaries with weapon shipments over the summer. The report said Prince's company has reportedly taken part in drone operations that killed hundreds. Through analysis consulted by Insight Crime could not confirm this direct involvement. They pointed instead to other opaque contractors hired by the Haitian government, but details remain scarce. I guess nobody wants to put out the word on like what companies are doing this, or maybe they make specific companies only for this job, and that those companies will like disappear.
That's probably the answer. That is probably the answer. I will say that if you really do think about it, an environment like Haiti, for even if you're training Haitians or training Haitian American veterans, either way, with the skills and technology that they have, these gangs are like, this is legitimately fish in a barrel. This is going to be over pretty quickly, I would assume.
Well, the thing that would be concerning for me would be that, you know, we were talking with this time last year about the Haitians eating the dogs or whatever, the Haitians eating the dogs, you know, all this kind of stuff during the election campaign. The thing I would be worried about would be Haitian gangs forming in America and then getting deported back to Haiti, taking more kind of sophisticated criminal techniques. That would be a major challenge for that, which is exactly how MS-13 was formed.
I agree. More sophisticated criminal techniques, sure. I'm more talking about on the military front. I'm more talking about, you know, drones with explosive payloads, ELINT, all kinds of overflight stuff for being able to, like, but I forget what the program is called, but that same thing, essentially fly a Cessna high enough up that you can barely see it, and it takes a picture every couple seconds. Run one of those missions over Haiti for like 2 weeks, and you have your entire gang structure, because none of them will know what the hell's happening.
Studebaker Defense, U.S.-based contractor, security. General Wesley Clark, go figure, Joe. Like the most liberal general to come out of the 2000s or the late 90s is involved in killing helpless criminals in Haiti. I thought that doesn't sound very liberal of him.
So, interestingly, the first contact the occupants of the island of Hispaniola had with the Western world was a private military contractor. Christopher Columbus was a private military contractor.
Yeah, essentially, I mean, not for the
Spanish government. So
yeah, I mean, not for the standpoint of like, I want you to go there and kill our enemies like a privateer, but
finding new territory.
Yeah.
And Hunch had a question that said, name a French colony that's not an S show. Well, Djibouti.
I knew it was coming.
If I'm honest, I think the only former colonies that worked out were the British ones.
I don't know. Dutch ones haven't done bad. St. Martin is a pretty good place. The Antilles is a pretty good place.
I was thinking specifically about the United States. You know, like, I mean, you know, we worked out pretty good.
Well, but what was New York? What was
parts of us were once a Dutch colony?
New York, you know, like New Amsterdam. So
I was old New York. What's called? Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, the Americans had to take it over in order for it to get, you know, really good. No, you're right.
Doing well, like, you know, Rhodesia, South Africa, North Rhodesia. Oh wait,
well, mind. The interesting thing is that the Dutch really were mercantilists. They weren't trying to like take over large swaths of the world. You know what I mean?
My friend, have you ever heard of the Dutch West Indies Company?
Oh, I know. That's what I'm saying. They were mercantilists. You know, they were. It was more of a, you know, like
the Dutch West India Company was a private military company. You
know, exactly
Scott,
right.
You're right. They weren't interested in taking over most of the world. Just the parts of it that had rare and exotic spices that nowhere else had. That they could create a monopoly on. You're correct.
Right. They wanted to create monopoly. Like I said, it was more of a money-making venture for them. Whereas England was like, we're going to set up England in India. All right.
Well, yeah, the concept that the whole world should be a British garden. Yeah.
Well, let's be honest.
How dare you besmirch Djibouti like
that? I saw that. I wondered if it would go uncommented.
Hutch Dirty Roofer for $1 says, by and large, the only colonies that thrived for any length of time were those founded by Protestant nations.
Okay.
Look
Are
at
you
you.
saying Eritrea was not a successful? Ethiopia was not a success.
Come on now.
How dare you? Well, hey, look, Somaliland. Oh, wait a second. That's another British colony. Never mind. Have you seen Somaliland seems to be doing pretty damn well for itself.
Well,
have you
okay.
guys...
Actually, hold on. We're being unfair here. There is one other nation that had a bunch of colonies that did great. Spain.
Nah, Portugal, even better. Look at the Portuguese colonies that still thrive today. Brazil, Macau, Hong Kong was originally a Dutch settlement.
When did Brazil get independence?
When what?
When did Brazil get independence?
I think it was a little bit over 100. I could be wrong though. Let me look it up.
I don't remember. And Mozambique. So, well, Mozambique's probably the exception proving the rule, but.
Oh no! Wait. Of course, Brazil would have got independence around the same time we did because they freed all of their colonies during the revolution.
All right. Moving on to our next story. It's a BBC story, so take that with a grain of salt. Colombian Senator 1822. Colombian Senator Miguel Uribe dies 2 months after being shot by somebody who probably was influenced by, you guessed it, the president of Colombia. Colombian Senator and presidential hopeful Miguel Uribe has died 2 months after being shot in the head in a targeted attack that shocked the South American nation. 39-year-old was hit with 3 bullets, 2 of them in the head and 1 in the leg, at a campaign rally in the capital, Bogota. His wife confirmed the death on social media, paying tribute to the love of my life. A teenager has been arrested on suspicion of carrying out the shooting, but the motive behind the attack is still unclear. Yeah, you want to kill somebody and have his assassin not, really be hassled. Make it a teenager. Joe, if I remember correctly, the drug cartels in Colombia specialized in having teenagers do a lot of their dirty work.
Yes, and I don't know who thinks that this is this shocked the nation. I mean, people get shot in Bogota a lot. Just that it was a presidential candidate. And if someone say, well, maybe it was the cartels that targeted him, I guarantee if the cartels targeted him, it's because Gustavo Petro paid them to.
Yeah, things have changed an awful lot in Colombia, how things are working and what's the kind of the balance of power with the cartels. You essentially have 3 forces. You have the government of Colombia, you have the cartels, which have kind of at the bottom of the barrel at this point, and then you also have the Marxist rebels like FARC and some of the offshoots that basically took over some of a large portion of the capacity, the coca production capacity of the cartels,
and the ELN as well. So
yeah, if I remember correctly, they're the conservative.
Yeah, the ELN was the right-wing militia that sprung up to go against FARC, but then realized there's a lot more money in drugs, and they decided to stick with protecting drug routes.
Okay, let me get back to. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Let's see. The motive behind the attack is still unclear. Let's see. His wife thanked her late husband for a life full of love and being the best father of her children. According to the statement published on Saturday by the hospital where Uribe was being treated, the senator had suffered a bleed to his central nervous system, was due to undergo surgery. He had already had several surgeries since he was first taken to Santa Fe Clinic in June. His wife also asked the people to pray for his recovery, and thousands had turned out at vigils and rallies to show their support. Uribe had been a senator since 2022 and had sought his party's nomination for the 2026 presidential election. He was attending a political event in a middle-class neighborhood in the capital when he was shot. The teenage suspect was arrested, having fled the scene. The 15-year-old had been charged with attempted murder and pled not guilty. Several others detained on suspicion of aiding the gunman. The brazen attack on the senator was brought back memories of turbulent decades of the 80s and 90s in Colombia, when several presidential candidates and influential Colombian figures were assassinated. His own
America gonna South America, right?
Yeah, that's right.
By the way, our resident Brazilian came through in the chat. Marcus, Brazil became independent from Portugal on September 7th, 1822. That answers the question we had earlier.
Yeah, very good. Uribe's own mother, journalist Dana Turbe, was kidnapped by Los Extraditables in 1990, an alliance created by the leading drug lords. She was held hostage by them for 5 months before being shot dead during a botched rescue attempt. Uribe had also cited her as his inspiration to run for political office, to work for our country. Los Extraditables, who said that they would prefer a grave in Colombia than a prison cell in the U.S., abducted and attacked renowned Colombians in an attempt to force the government at the time to overturn its extradition treaty with the U.S. So not a whole lot of reporting on who could potentially benefit from Uribe going. And the answer is Gustavo Petro is who benefits the most from this.
Don't let people hold us responsible for our crimes. No.
Crazy.
Joe, you want to anything else on that, by the way, before we move on?
Negative. It's just South America being South America.
You want to talk about some tactical-wisdom.com?
Sure. Why not? Awesome. Hey, you guys might not have heard this based upon what I'm seeing online, but I write books, and you can find signed editions of those books at tactical-wisdom.com. You can also find cool t-shirts. You can find patches. You can find our upcoming class schedule. All kinds of good stuff. Excuse me. We have a full week of classes coming up here in just 2 weeks, where you can come out one weekend and do fieldcraft. Then in the middle of the week, you can get in community security ops. Then the following weekend, you can do combatives, which includes bayonet fighting, by the way. So good week of classes, the 22nd through the 31st. It's going to be solid stuff. You can get everything in there, including a one-day break to run up and visit our partners at Shield Arms, where you can buy cool stuff like this cool tactical spike. Very cool. I did a short video on this. It's available right now at their website. Comes in this color and in black, and it's just it's a $200 titanium spike. One piece of titanium, only weighs a couple ounces. It's a really good item. Throws pretty well. So you can check that all out. And then finish out the week with the combatives class. A lot of other good stuff going on. We are going to do a survival class next month. And then in October, I will be going to mountain readiness with NC Scout. And then I'm going to be hosting Fieldcraft October 21st to the 23rd. At Matt's place down in North Carolina. Right after that, the 24th through the 26th, we'll be doing the Scout course. And then the 27th through the 29th of October, we will be doing the Recce course. So for Halloween, come out and play dress up and get in your camouflage, and let's get out and play war a little bit.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
I have something that I'd love for either you or one of the other book publishers to do. I would love to see a version of your guys' books published in the cheapest way possible. I'm talking like old style onion paper, whatever it takes, but something hyper cheap that I can go spam into these little community library boxes. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Well, why don't you kind of speak more on that? But just explain the rationale on that.
Well, I mean, it's not just Joe's books, but it is mostly Joe's books that gave me the thought. But it's a lot of other really good books from people in our corner that do that, because you roll up on these community library books, and most of the time there's a few classics in there that you're glad people are reading, but a lot of times it's modern garbage, because the people who run these little libraries, for the most part, not all of them, but most of them, are leftists. And so it would be really nice to get some real good, solid information for young men inside there. I mean, one of the things we constantly complain about is that young men aren't reading, right? Well,
over the weekend, I met the owner of Evergreen Liquor, and she is buying 3 sets for her sons for exactly that reason.
Hell yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I have to say here, you know how we have the library here, right? They came in, I showed them my books in the library. They borrowed book 1 and 2, and when they left, they bought book 1 and 2. So
excellent.
That's awesome, man. That is awesome.
take Fieldcraft, and then I'm gonna teach them how to shoot. So
Joe, your book is a perfect example of the kind of book that the only thing that's holding it back is the ability to get it in front of more people. You know what I mean? It's like when people see it, they buy it. I mean, and let's be honest, it's not made for people with different worldviews. Like, it's not made for a neo-Marxist to buy, right? Because he's going to get all butthurt over the Christian aspects.
Isn't that a great, interesting kind of, hey, only the right sort of people will be able to absorb my information protection on it? Isn't that weird?
Well, it's almost like there's a filter built into it. It's like, you don't give this information. They will just reject it out of hand if they get to page 3 and they read about Christianity, right?
So listen, I just dropped this in the chat, and you're all hearing it here first, thanks to Hunch pushing me. I would like to have Tactical Wisdom 6 in hand to sell at Mountain Readiness. So understand there is a goal and a drive. So
are you willing to drop a title?
Yeah, it's going to be called the Field Skills Handbook, and it's sort of like advanced fieldcraft, taking a bunch of outdoor skills like knots and ropes and pioneering. If you're a Boy Scout, you remember pioneering, building things with rope and wood,
tripods,
canoeing, but from a tactical perspective. How to use kayaks tactically on a river, how to do all kinds of different things.
Oh, hell yes.
Firecraft. We all learn how to build fires, right? But what are the best fire lays to conceal your fire from other people's views? So
Swedish hole.
Joe.
Actually,
if you follow the Pardo model.
So here's the thing. Book 7 should come out fairly easy, because book 7 will be something to do with secure vehicle operations. And that's something that rattles around in my head, and I know it forward and backwards. And I could just start talking like I'm teaching a class, and it will flow out. So
I'm really excited. Joe, we need to figure out how to get bumper cars out there so you could just start teaching one of these.
Well, book 7 will be a class we teach on the road network here and on the county roads, or the national forest roads around us. So it will be a fun class too.
Oh, that's going to be so good.
Look, Jay Clark, bring lots. We'll put a few and put Dad on sales duty. Doc, I know you're in the chat right now because I already saw you in the chat. That man is my best book salesman ever. He stood there and sold out every copy of the first aid book I had at the Kentucky Self-Reliance or Sustainable Living event. Sold them all.
That'd be a short one. I think it'd be 6.5.
Yeah, that's going to be book 6.5. That's pretty easy.
All right. Now, I tell you, I'm really excited for the next one to come out. I mean, and that sounds like it'll be interesting stuff. So,
yeah,
looking forward to
good
that.
Stuff.
All right. Let me do our brush beater ad for today. All right. So we're talking today about diving into Trump's high stakes battle against the world on trade deals and peace treaties, plus the messy entanglements in the Lavant. As global tensions rise and alliances shift, preparation is power. That's where our sponsor, Brush Beater Store, led by NC Scouts, steps in with world-class training to keep you sharp and ready. In the world of economic warfare and regional conflicts, brush beaters training courses give you the skills to survive. The RTO course teaches you secure comms, signal intercepts, field radio ops, perfect for staying connected when trade disputes disrupt networks or conflicts escalate. For advanced tactics, the advanced RTO dives into signals intelligence and electronic warfare, equipping you to outmaneuver threats in complex environments like the Lavant. Want to master life-saving skills? The Tactical Combat Casualty Care Course, or TCCC, trains you to handle trauma under fire, from urban unrest to battlefield injuries, using real-world techniques honed by Matt's combat experience. Sign up for these courses at Brushbeater's Yanceyville, North Carolina training facility, or check out details at the brushbeater.store/collection/training. Use code CFC10 for 5% off training, radios, optics, or medical gear. Orders over $100 shipped for free. Huge thanks to Matt at Brushbeater Store for fueling counsel on future conflicts. Visit brushbeater.store, enter CFC10, and train to dominate any crisis. Yeah, training is so important, Joe. I mean, let's be honest. Guys like us, we tend to go directly to things like night vision goggles and cool guns and suppressors and plate carriers and all the kind of Gucci shit, right? But in fact, a man with a lot of training and hardly any money and gear could be just as resilient, just as survivable, and potentially just as deadly as anyone on the battlefield. It's know what you know in your head matters way more than what you buy and put in the trunk of your car.
Well, let's also. Oh, hold on.
What?
Oh, you can hear me. Okay, because my thing's not lighting up that you can hear me. Sorry.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, cool. So what I was going to say is, let's also be honest that even if you have the Gucci gear, I mean, when we equip a private with a set of night vision goggles, that's a 3-day course. It's not just something you like. Yes, you can slap it on and see, but to actually know what you're doing and know how it operates and know how it changes the way that your vision works, it takes time and training.
Yeah, Joe, I mean, what's your kind of take on the gear versus training, kind of mindset?
I've always been a proponent of making sure you have skills before you have gear. Because one, if you don't have the skills, having the gear is going to do you any good. And two, you might buy the wrong gear if your skill set is in something different, right? I went and bought what 5 different guys on the internet said, instead of what I've tried and actually works for me and with my skill set and things like that. Something might be perfect for one guy is not for others. And as we progress in life experience, I won't say get older, sometimes our opinions change, because I was an iron sights king until last year when vision started becoming a little bit different, right? A lot easier to see a dot than it is to line up the sights and the target. So you actually have to get out and practice the things. That's more important than anything else. And I've adjusted my thinking from saying night vision before thermals to thermals before night vision. So come out and take a class and learn what they all are first, and then buy it. A lot of guys will say, well, I don't want to take the class because I don't have the gear. Even the night vision class, we're like, don't buy gear first. Come to the class, see what works, play with the gear, and figure out what you need first.
Yeah, that's exactly right. When it's your money, right? It's one thing when you show up to an infantry platoon or something like that, and they just give you a bunch of gear and say, okay, now we're going to train you. Okay. You don't have to put any thought into your gear. But when you have to put thought into your gear and it's your budget, it's like, well, do I spend $2,000 and get PVS 14s with it's a single tube, or do I go with $5,000 dual tubes? It's kind of like, well, maybe you should try them both out first and see which.
I know that right now dual tubes is all the hotness, but a bridge mount with a thermal in one eye and a night vision on the other. It's really cool to read all the talk on the internet about that's absolutely what you need and you're going to die if you don't have it, bro. It's another thing to put it on and try and actually take 5 steps at night.
Oh, it takes a shit ton of training. That is so difficult.
You cannot do it. So,
and it's if I'm honest, it's less about training, because you don't get a whole lot of training when they give you nods in the Army, right?
It's time.
what you get is just time with it on in the woods, and nobody's standing there saying, okay, now we'll step over this. No, you got to figure it out, right?
Your brain has to learn how to interlace those two images without making you sick, and it takes a while.
Well, I never had any trouble with the sick. I know some people complain about motion. I think motion sickness is more a problem with thermals than because the refresh rate on the digital image.
Well, have you run them dual with thermals in one eye and night vision in the other?
Yeah, that will induce nausea. Almost,
it induces nausea.
Well, it's because you have an artificial parallax, and that's.
And you have one eye that's lagging and one eye that's not.
You can train yourself to get over it, but it takes a lot. It's like training yourself to get over simulator sickness. It takes a lot of time.
But anyway, the point is that even if all you have is an old school pair of PVS 14s, just you putting them on, there's no replacement for putting them on and walking in the woods with them.
Right.
And just getting those hours
too. Using your laser and your night vision together. Everyone has them. Yep, I got it. It's cool. Check that box. But it's like radios. If you don't ever use it, it doesn't do you any good. Yeah, look at the cool laser on my gun. Did you zero the laser? Did I what? The what?
You have to zero it? What?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's like bore sighting it, buddy. I mean, did you not do that? Oh, I don't even know what that is. Anyway, yes, these are all things that have to be considered. Here's the thing: gear is important. Don't get me wrong. That being said, training is as important, if not more important. And I let's be honest. I'm not putting a lot of time into a lot of my back skill kind of backcountry low equipment stuff because I can't imagine a world where I don't have access to a cigarette lighter. That being said, if you don't have those kind of like low tech, no tech kind of training as well, I mean,
you need that as a backup. But I assure you that if Davy Crockett and Daniel Boone knew about the Bic lighter, they would carry a Bic lighter.
Yeah, it's exactly right. You do it because you don't have the Bic lighter anymore, right? And the good news is I know, like Boy Scout nerds like me learned all that stuff, setting fire with a flint and steel and all that kind of stuff, back in the day. Like, I can't imagine when I wouldn't even have flint and steel. I mean, maybe if it was some sort of artificial escape and evasion scenario, but that's less about starting fires and more about like surviving.
Yeah, I keep some in my backpack, but it's not something I use a lot. I can do it. There's no point in it.
All right. Let us move on. Segment 1, Trump versus the world.
Eddie, mowing the lawn late in the day and it gets too dark to finish. Grab the nods. Great training opportunity.
I don't know that I want to use nods around rotating steel blades, if I'm honest.
Guys do it with the Lancet drone all the time.
That's what they say. It doesn't mean I want to do it. All right. Hold on a second. Let me type something here. All right.
Guru, not proper night vision gear. So that is the difference between digital night vision and real night vision. Digital night vision is not actually night vision. It's just a camera without an IR filter.
It depends on if you're using it in active mode or passive mode. Always go passive unless there's a reason to go active.
Well, let's be honest. First of all, nobody is using digital night vision, so you don't have to even consider that. Second of all, Joe's exactly right. Like a PVS 14 has a little knob on it that if you take it past the on, the IR light will come on. If you turn that IR light on, and there's reasons to do that from time to time, everybody with night vision can see you a mile away. But if you use the eye cups and like what PVS 14s, eye cups, things like that, you're generally not going to have a lot of emissions. Wow. Your laser on your weapon might give you away though.
So, Scott, if we're talking state actors, you're absolutely correct. But if we're talking civilians in a potential without rule of law scenario, no, there's going to be a lot of people. In fact, most people will be using one form of digital night vision or another. Either security cameras with night vision or like just straight up cameras. Like digital night vision has pretty much, it's taken off a lot. There's a lot of hunters using digital night vision because deer don't have IR vision. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But most of that is all Gen 1 stuff with an emitter on it, though. Mostly it's analog, isn't it? It's not digital.
No, a lot of it is digital. Now, I mean, you haven't been around for a while and looking at the hunting mags, but yeah, for like the last 5 years, the push has been heavy. Hey, $150. Here's a night vision monocular.
Hey, for those saying digital isn't terrible for static positions, except for the fact that it's beaconing exactly where you are sitting, thus defeating having night vision. I'm sorry, but digital night vision emits constantly. There's no way around that.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
all right. Let's move on, shall we, to segment 1. We're talking Trump versus the world. First story up, Trump versus Putin. And, you got to admit, this is kind of a baller move. He says, yeah, Putin, let's meet. Let's meet where, in Alaska, that used to be yours, but now it's ours. Donald Trump stays true to his line and asserts dominance over geopolitical chessboard symbolically as well, following the announcement of a trade deal with the EU at his golf resort in Turnberry, Scotland. Peace talks in Ukraine. By the way, that was kind of a baller move when he invited the Keir Starmer to a nicer looking mansion than what Keir Starmer lives in his own country. I thought that was pretty. I mean, that was pretty delicious symbolism to me. Let's see. The venue of a negotiation often predefines the balance of power between opponents. In that sense, it must be read as a clear show of force that both the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, notably without military fanfare, traveled to Trump's private resort in Turnberry to be politically placed by the American president. Judging by the outcomes of those talks, one conclusion is unavoidable. The European Union no longer plays in the league of the great powers. Washington's interest in the inter-European affairs has noticeably cooled, focusing essentially on two things: an orderly withdrawal from military entanglements and the defense of the U.S. that corporate interests in the EU's single market. What we're witnessing is a power shift from Atlantic to the Pacific. Europe is losing its grip. It's hardly a secret. China and the United States will be setting the standards on international politics in the future. Russia, the world's most resource-rich country, may be labeled by the Europeans as a pariah state and as a malicious hub of all evil. But that does not change the fact that in the age of post-colonial European dominance is ending, Moscow will have no trouble playing its resource market cards outside of the shrinking European sphere of influence. This is why sanctions on Russia won't work, because they have no trouble exporting commodities like minerals and oil and things like that outside of their territory. There's always a market for that. They may have to sell it at a discount, but they can still sell it. In this spirit, Russian President Vladimir Putin will travel on August 15th to away territory in Alaska, once part of Russia, to preliminarily negotiate peace terms in Ukraine with President Trump. Trump sees progress in the stalemated conflict and stresses that the talks will likely lead to a land swap arrangement to benefit both sides. While the Russian government has not issued an official statement, much suggests Moscow will not return the occupied territories in Donbass, Luhansk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson. Yeah, those things are gone.
Permanently.
Those are gone permanently. Russia currently holds the military initiative, is increasing pressure on Ukraine and its allies to force a resolution. You know, Joe, Putin's position is like, not only will I keep what I already have, but you're going to give me a little more. You're going to cede land. I could see that not happening. Like, I could see Ukraine being able to keep, basically the line freezes where it's at, and that becomes the
they need to pay attention to the buildup of forces outside of Kharkiv, because if they take that, that's the last stronghold that Kiev holds east of the Dnieper, and if they lose that, man, it's done.
Well, at least in the southern kind of half of the state. I mean, you got the north part. Like, you got that Sumy region and that northern part. That's a different ball of wax. But ultimately, it's squished between Belarusia and Russia. So that's its own issue. Let's see. To avoid overshadowing the personal meeting, White House postponed a tariff ultimatum originally set for August 9th that would have imposed 100% duties on Russian goods if the war continued, pushing it back to August 27th. Alaska as a signal. We will have to see what unfolds in the meantime, whether potential disruptions derail the cautious rapprochement once more. One recalls much discussed visit of the former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who 2 months ago, after the outbreak of war, 2 months after the outbreak of war, acted as a kind of shadow diplomat to reject a Russian proposed peace deal. I know that was the fucking dumbest thing Ukraine ever did, was not to was rejected, because they would have been able to basically keep a lot more of their territory if they had accepted that. Because all Russia wanted was to secure that, you know, the part of Kherson going up to the Dnieper River. That's all they really wanted, I think.
Yeah,
because that guaranteed the water.
Yeah, they didn't want both sides of the river. Although it was an epic battle for the river bridge, though.
That was pretty epic. This time, however, it's the Americans applying pressure on the warring sides. From Europe, little is heard apart from intense rearmament efforts and a declared will to remilitarize the population, as German government repeatedly emphasized. Diplomatic thread. Let's see. The diplomatic thread is now to be picked up in Alaska. Until 1867, Alaska was Russian territory before the U.S. purchased it from the Tsar Alexander II for $7.2 million. Little known fact is that Russia owed us $7.2 million for help we gave them. And I can't remember which war. But anyway, the point is that Russia didn't have that money, but they had Alaska, and they just gave us Alaska. We basically, got Alaska for exactly how much we owed the Russians. Oh, it was in the Civil War. We owed them money for Russian involvement in the Civil War, the blockade, I think, of Charleston Harbor. And that's what we owed them $7.2 million for. And they basically said, you take Alaska and give us $7.2 million because Alaska's losing us money right now.
Yeah.
Scott,
yes,
I've got a pretty big deal breaking news. If you want to check the private chat real quick.
Oh, is this the Trump announcement?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You know what? This is Trump versus the world. So let's just go. I tell you what, let's finish Trump versus Russia, and then we'll go Trump versus DC.
Okay.
If you want to listen to that video, just to kind of, there might be some, if there's excerpts, I don't know how long that video is.
It's a minute 30.
It's short. It's short. All right. And there may be some other stuff that's popping up on X that might support that too. So yeah. All right. Let's see. For Ukraine talks, the location signals even deeply rooted geopolitical divides can be bridged through pragmatic agreements. At the same time, Alaska has strategic importance for the Arctic, whose trade routes and resources likely will be integrated into future architecture of global power. By hosting Russian president at such a neurologic spot, I don't know that word. That's a new word for me. Trump fuses historic reconciliation with present-day power politics, creating a symbolic setting that suggests readiness for compromise without conceding sovereignty. So this what may look like a PR coup in the headlines is in reality a move to the highest level of geopolitics. I tend to agree with this. I think this is actually pretty smart because it puts Russia in a position that it's like, listen, you need this war to end as much as anybody does. Now, you may get something out of it, but that doesn't mean that you could just keep on going with no problem. Because Russia can't. I mean, they need this war to end too. I'm going to assume Joe is busy. He's muted. Let me just read a little bit here. Behind closed door, the focus will likely be on redrawing spheres of influence, a possible Ukraine endgame in exchange for Russian concessions, energy, Arctic passage, even perhaps a gradual distancing from Beijing. For Trump, the meeting offers a chance to pull Russia, perhaps through trade, into America's geostrategic orbit. This would align raw materials deals signed with Ukraine in April, granting the U.S. exclusive access to the country's rare earth, as well as certain oils and gas reserves. But the true test linked to this meeting lies within the inner workings of American power machine. Can Trump carry out such an unconventional operation without sabotage from his own security apparatus? Should he manage to launch the robust peace process, we will have proven that he has taken full control of the U.S. foreign policy. So, see, this is the big question. Can Trump get this done on the inside without, other people mucking up the deal? Let's see. Let me, while Watcher continues to collate, I got two, actually, Phil Coggins for both of them. So going back to the beginning of the show, my apologies, Phil, because I missed this at first, and then I've just found it. Phil, by the way, a member for 35 months. Thanks for that significant amount of support. Thank you. Agreed, Watcher. The worst thing about being on disability for a hip replacement is that I'm now permanently online. Yeah, I totally feel that. And then Phil Coggins for $5 says it's always fun in the full motion flight sims when the instructor pauses it or it blue screens and your body just lurches forward. I've never done one of those full body simulators before.
Oh, they're good, man. They're really good.
I've heard they're awesome. Yeah. Let's see. Not a lot of super chats today. All right. And by the way, if you're a member over on YouTube, you've got these member chats, so feel free to use it because I treat it just like I would a $5 super chat. So let's see. Guy Vermectin says, for what it's worth, this seems to be setting up a situation wherein the EU would be tasked with holding the theater versus a diminished Russia, while the U.S. would be able to concentrate efforts on the Pacific versus the PRC. Yeah. Well, the interesting thing here is that I think that what you're getting is the EU is just losing relevance. And that's one of the reasons why I think they're rearming, because they realize if they don't have a big stick to threaten people with, then ultimately they're a paper tiger. Russia has shown that, when it puts wartime, basically Russia's gone into a wartime economy, maybe a wartime light economy. And they've really done a shockingly decent job of rebuilding their military, both in the traditional sense with new production of tanks and infantry fighting vehicles. And then also they turned bomber production back on. They turned fighter production up. They never stopped that. But they're also embracing asymmetric threats like the drones. Even the Russian drone makers say that the Ukrainians are probably the best in the world at these small drones right now. But yeah, the Russian drone makers are pretty damn good, and they've got a lot of very good drone operators out there.
Reaction's a lot more mixed than you'd think.
Oh, is this on the whole DC? Let's go ahead and let's pull up that video, and while we're listening, I'll
this was well. Do you want to tee it up? This is breaking news, folks. Trump made this announcement while we were live.
Yeah, so this is something that they said yesterday would be one of the biggest announcements of his administration thus far. So I'm kind of curious to see.
It's a very serious purpose, Something's out of control, but we're going to put it in control very quickly, like we did on the southern border. I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back. Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that. Very good people, but they're tough, and they know what's happening, and they've done it before. In addition, I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly. And you people are victims of it, too. You know, you're reporters, and I understand a lot of you tend to be on the liberal side, but you don't want to get mugged and raped and shot and killed. And you all know people and friends of yours that happened. And so you can be anything you want, but you want to have safety in the streets. You want to be able to leave your apartment or your house where you live and feel safe and go into a store to buy a newspaper or buy something. And you don't have that now.
So they're revoking the DC home rule or re-invoking the original. So essentially what's happening is back in 73, the Congress turned over the administration of DC over to basically a locally elected council and with a mayor and all that kind of stuff. And he is essentially revoking that and placing it back under the control of Congress. Gentlemen, what are your kind of impressions of this?
I think it's a terrible idea. He's playing right into the hands of the left. They're going to declare him a dictator. This is going to cause all kinds of conflict.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's not like the majority of the existence of DC had existed like this way. I mean, it's only been since 73. So I mean, clearly,
according to the left, that is all of modern human history.
Well, that's true.
I know it's really hard to say Daddy Trump's done something wrong, but this is silly.
See, that's just it. I don't know that it's silly. I don't know that it's good either. I just don't know because I don't understand what all the third order effects are going to be.
Well, it would be fine if he didn't deploy the DC National Guard as part of it. Right?
Yeah, that I'm not so sure about. I mean, you can't just say crime's bad, throw in the National Guard. Yeah, I don't know that that's a good idea.
Results are mixed. You've got a lot of watermelon flag people calling for actual terrorist resistance. So that should get interesting and spicy.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. If they were to do that, they would actually give them an excuse to do the things that they're, to go with the National Guard or something like that. Active terrorists in DC would basically give them everything that they want. I'm
just amazed at the people on our side who cheer on the implementation of martial law or military enforcement of civil law, yet also claim they want to resist an overreaching federal government. It's silly to me. The dichotomy in that, I don't get it.
Here's a headline from Channel 4 out of Washington. D.C. police commander suspended, accused of changing crime statistics.
Well, we knew they were doing that. Like that was openly acknowledged. The FBI admitted that they stopped collecting them under Biden. I do have to say though, I'm not one for half measures. If you're going to do this, don't just federalize the police force. Do what we talked about and make DC back to just the actual administrative zone again and return everything else to Maryland.
Yeah, the original portion of DC was originally a 10 mile by 10 mile square that straddled both Virginia and Maryland. They gave back the portion to Virginia, and what they should do essentially is sketch out something from just on the other side of the White House all the way down to the Capitol building, including the mall and all of the federal, the Smithsonian stuff. And the major federal buildings that are in those areas, and then everything else goes back to Maryland.
There should be no permanent residents either, and additionally, the only people who should actually live in that administrative zone at all should be government. Like it should be, and when I say government employees, I mean like congressmen. I don't mean like, oh, I work at the Department of Labor Statistics.
Yeah. I'm just kind of going through some of the reactions. Yeah, I mean, it's we're placing the DC Police Department under direct federal control. So I'm curious how that will work because, if Congress is supposed to, prior to the Home Rule Act, in 73, DC fell under the jurisdiction basically of Congress. Congress was, and I think the idea was Congress wasn't doing their job. Shocking. And that's why they came up with this, basically to delegate it to somebody else so they could focus on other things.
Joe's right, though. You can definitely see the results are mixed. People who look, I can understand that people who said, hey, our nation's capital has been overrun by leftists are celebrating the fact that the leftists are getting a kick in the teeth. Right. And that's because I also understand that most people don't think beyond what am I going to have for lunch. Right.
Yeah.
It's all fun and games till the federal government decides to take control of a red state under a new administration.
Yeah, and that's not, that's just, Joe, you make the best argument for why anything that the Republican administration may do that feels good because they're basically, owning the libs. But exactly the same things that they do under Trump, it could be done right back to conservative enclaves.
And that's why I'm saying no half measures on this. You have to make it clear that the only thing that's happening here is that we're dissolving the arrangement that's happened because it's become a partisan one, which makes it a hostile place for literally half the country's legislators to have to come to, which was the intent of DC in the first place, was to make it a neutral area where regardless of what your politics were, you could come and stand in equal standing, right? That's not possible at the moment. And so I get why action needs to be taken, but don't do it this way because this is going to come back to haunt us.
So Jim, you're kind of hitting on something that's important here, and I want to tease it out. So it's exactly how they said they have laid it out in the law. The president has the power to take control of DC police in the law, giving DC home rule.
Let me ask you this. If Joe Biden had done the same thing and then said that conservative organizations can't function in the city or all these other things can't happen, Catholic churches must close within the city, which isn't too far outside the realm of possibility, would you have been okay with it?
Well, they did that during COVID. And almost everybody was okay.
They didn't take control of the police.
Yeah, they took control of the whole country.
Sure, I'm wrong.
No, but the point here is just because they can do something, like, okay, so DC may be in a unique position where the law actually gives him to do the power of what he just did. Just because he can do it doesn't mean he should do it.
Yeah, like the Defense Production Act gives the government the power to come in and take your supply of food and ammo if they want it. Should they? Is it right? Just because something is legal does not mean it is right.
I guess I'm not saying that he shouldn't do this. What I'm saying is that what did they do, and what are this is like step 7, right? What are the other steps leading up to 7 that he did that, before? Okay, now we're going to have to do this because those other things we didn't work, right? I just don't feel like there was this went from 0 to 60 in too much of a hurry in my viewpoint. And I understand why this is classic Trump though. Say again.
My assumption is they probably tried that other stuff behind the scenes because remember, all local enforcement ultimately comes down to, because of the weird structure of the way DC was set up, Muriel Bowser, like that mayor has ultimate control over fucking everything in the area. And she is a dyed-in-the-wool leftist lunatic.
I mean, if a leftist insurgency controls DC, then maybe this is the right answer. But that argument hasn't been well articulated, like from Lance Corporal Veteran for $5 says, beware the benevolent dictatorship of it's only okay when we do it. Yeah. And the other phrase that I remember is one of the scariest phrases in the English language is, I'm from the government. I'm here to help.
Well, look, that could be done. I think that is a potential thing. I think Joe's right though. I think it's the wrong look entirely to send the DC. Look, we all complained when Joe Biden erected a wall around DC in order to do what he did, and we agreed at the time. I believe that if Trump did the same thing, it would also be weird and unacceptable. This could be accomplished by other means. There are so many federal assets. And in fact, what a great opportunity to both drag into the light how many of these federal agencies have armed forces within them, but also to use those guys that mostly collect a paycheck to carry firearms and largely do nothing and occasionally do a couple of very minor busts, send them out to actually get some policing work under their belt. There's 1.5 million ways to crack this nut. The National Guard didn't have to be one of them. It's an Abrams tank to crack a walnut.
Well, if they do the National Guard in the role that it's actually designed to do, which is DISCA versus law enforcement, then you can make a stronger argument because DISCA is basically support to civil operations, and it's support. It's not like, hey, we're going to go in there and pull security, right? Unlike, because what we saw in LA recently were Marines literally being put on the security lines, which I don't know is the best way to use them. I'm a big fan of how we used the military on the southwest border during his first administration, when we weren't doing the border work, we were doing observation and we were doing support stuff. So like driving trucks and driving buses and providing support to the Border Patrol so that more Border Patrol officers could be freed up to go and be on the actual border. And so if they were doing that with the DC police, so that all the DC police could get out of the office and be on the streets, and then the National Guard, runs the property room or the armory or the motor pool and things like. If that's how this is being done, I would definitely I would say that's about the right way to use them.
That'd be great. And then, like I said, turf out all the IRS armed agents and a bunch. Well, not all of them. Leave a few on building protection duty, but get a bunch of these guys that are mostly trying to earn up a 20-year federal retirement. Get them out, get them serving the public, and get them doing some actual good in the DC area because that's where they live anyways.
I'm gonna drop a link here. I don't know if I can't remember if this soundbite was in the one that you played or not, but it's things like this, what he says in this soundbite, that make me say, well, okay, maybe this was the right thing to do.
The murder rate in Washington today is higher than that of Bogota, Colombia, Mexico City, some of the places that you hear about as being the worst places on earth, much higher. This is much higher. The number of car thefts has doubled over the past 5 years, and the number of carjackings has more than tripled. Murders in 2023 reached the highest rate probably ever. They say 25 years, but they don't know what that means because it just goes back 25 years. Can't be worse. Our capital city has been overtaken by violent gangs and bloodthirsty criminals, roving mobs of wild youth, drugged out maniacs and homeless people. And we're not going to let it happen anymore. We're not going to take it.
So are there reasons to do this? There are reasons. Are they the correct reasons? I don't know. I don't know if this is the right solution. I don't intrinsically trust the federal government. So
the optics of having the Secretary of Defense standing next to you when you make this proclamation is terrible.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised with Hegseth's prominent placement there. I was kind of surprised that the National Guard didn't have more as part of this.
As long as we're bringing it up, what is this?
What? Oh, that's a American flag pockets.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Now I see it. I thought that was some kind of like a badge or something. I was like, what the? Huh? A ribbon? Huh?
Yeah.
Ribbon on a suit?
Here's the murder rates of world capitals versus DC in the private chat.
Oh, yeah. I saw this chart earlier this weekend. The leftist talking point has come out, by the way, that but the crime is down by 30%. Well, yes, when you stop reporting most police crimes and stop recording those statistics, you can make any numbers appear you want.
Well, look at the cities selected. It seems to be a very
Montevideo,
very well thought out bunch of them, because Port-au-Prince isn't in there. Johannesburg isn't in there.
Panama, Brasilia,
New Delhi isn't in there. I'm just
Istanbul, really? Huh.
Is Mexico City on that list?
Mogadishu was not amongst the world capitals represented.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Mexico City right there.
Hey, Joe, the irony is do you think Mogadishu or Johannesburg even have crime statistics?
But the graphic is misleading in that regard, right?
Yeah, I agree. My point is that you literally would have to put an infinite symbol for probably both of those cities when it comes to their murder rates.
And compare the population of Uruguay to literally anywhere else. It actually has a much higher crime rate because of the fact of who lives there and what goes on there. So it might not have been a good example to include from that perspective.
Well, I also think that the dildo net that's going up around WNBA courts is also another part of the sign of the times. Like this, it's becoming just impossible to do anything.
Look, man, they asked.
I hope that's fake, but oh my god, say that again.
Oh, they asked to be paid what they deserve, and the people are giving it to them.
So I'll just say my last thing on this piece is that cheering on the federal takeover of local civilian government and the militarization thereof is not cool when our guy does it. We wouldn't be for it if it wasn't our guy doing it.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, the sad thing is that even though our guys doing this may do it in a just manner, that may be the case.
It becomes the justification for the unjust.
It just right. So the next guys come in and they do it in a way that's totalitarian, right? Like, you could make some argument that it's being done the right way. See, they're just backing up the police, or they're just doing this, or just doing that, or they're not going too far. Okay, yeah, they was used with restraint, but they were used, and once you use them, they can use them for pretty much any other good reason that the other side could come up with too. Right now, they may not be used in DC for that reason, but they may be used in Dallas, Texas, or they may be used in some other kind of Kalispell, Montana. I mean, anyway. Yes, I
Scott in chat, because we're here. I'm going to get us off the topic. I'm going to settle this once and for all. The way that you make them stop is not by erecting a net. It's not by making them play without an audience. You simply promise that instead of punishing the offender with a lifetime ban from the WNBA, you force them to attend the next 10 consecutive games. It will stop immediately.
By the way, the net thing is not actually real.
Yeah. I assumed it was Photoshop, but it's too good not to talk about.
Crockpot broccoli. Yeah, we know. I got it. Check. But it's a slippery slope, and it begins here, and who knows where it ends.
Yeah, I mean, just because it goes back to what I said, and I think this will be my last word on it. Just because he can do it doesn't mean he should do it. And like I said, the 0 to 60 factor on this is a little high on. If tried other things and they failed, then maybe this is the right way to go. But I'm just not seeing that.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope, and we're already greased up and headed down a 15% grade. So
yeah. All right. Moving on to the next story. I think we're going to put the Lavant stuff on hold. All that stuff will apply on Wednesday, and that'll just get me ahead of the power curve on Wednesday. We'll update if any things occur in that region between now and then. But we'll cover Lavant entanglements on Wednesday. Armenia might defect from the CSTO while Turkish and NATO influence could surge along the Russia's southern periphery, which might embolden Azerbaijan and Turkmenistan to defy Iran and Russia. By building the Trans-Caspian gas pipeline, if the West promises them Ukraine-like military support. Well, Joe, what happened last time the West decided to encroach in the Russia's near abroad?
War, and that's kind of
war.
What happens. Yeah.
Well, the irony here is that the shocking thing to me is that Armenia, which is basically the way I see Armenia, and Stan, who has a lot more knowledge on this, he may have a different take on this, and I would refer you to previous episodes of the Privy Council for what his take may be. Armenia has basically been the Russia side and the U.S. side. Those are the two sides within the Armenian sphere, and it looks like the U.S. side has been able to overcome the Russian side of the domestic Armenian politics. And probably some of that is because of the lack of Russian support due to Russia's focus on the Ukraine war, especially during the recent conflicts. Like, what was it, last year, Joe? Beginning of last year was when they fought over the Nagorno-Karabakh, and pretty much Azerbaijan took over Nagorno-Karabakh. Was that last year, or was it the year before last? I can't remember.
Last year.
Yeah. Let's see it. The American, Armenian, Azerbaijani leaders jointly unveiled the Trump route for international peace and prosperity, which this ticks all the blocks for Trump's ego for sure. During their meeting at the White House on Friday, previously known as the Trump Bridge, per related media reports, it's essentially the U.S. replacement of the corridor that Russia envisioned in the November 2020 ceasefire that it mediated between those two rivals. Here are 5 background briefings. Let's see. To summarize, the U.S. replacement of the Russian and Azerbaijan had up till now been called the Zangezur corridor. And if anybody who's read our friend Mike Bennett's books will know all about this. Removes Moscow's ability to monitor Turkish arms exports to Central Asia, which could turbocharge its influence amongst Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan with time. Those two are part of the Russian-led CSTO, the Turkish-led Organization of Turkish States, OTS, and possibly the OTS might one day assume CSTO like security functions that lead to those two defection from CSTO. The U.S. would encourage that as a means of completing its long attempted encirclement of Russia. Moreover, the thaw in Armenian, Azerbaijani, and correspondingly Armenian-Turkish tensions could justify Yerevan's official withdrawal from the CSTO. It already suspended its membership, and that could quickly lead to it. Azerbaijan and Kazakhstan were working more closely with NATO. The removal of the U.S. legislative restrictions on military cooperation with Azerbaijan might make this a fait accompli. These likely outcomes, the expansion of Turkish OTS influence in Central Asia via TRIP, Armenia's official defection from the CSTO, and U.S.-led NATO influence along Russia's southern periphery could already pose a formidable challenge to Russia's broader regional position. It might even get worse, though the aforesaid scenario sequence emboldens Azerbaijan and Turkmenistan. At the U.S. And Turkey's urging to unilaterally construct a long-discussed Trans-Caspian gas pipeline. I tell you this, Joe, this is a significant pressure to Russia for a couple different reasons. That whole Southern Asian corridor is something that traditionally had gone up into Russia in order to access European and Mediterranean markets. But if Turkey can get its act together and unify these all, by the way, mostly Muslim countries, it would, except for Armenia, of course, it would put a big kind of kink in Russia's plan to be able to moderate or mediate all that trade through Central Asia up into Russia through Europe. I think it's going to cause a lot of trouble in the end. And this will give Russia a reason to kind of call it quits with Ukraine so it can focus on other parts of its near abroad that maybe it feels like it's neglected.
Yes, it is a blow to Russia. The only disagreement I have, Armenia is Christian, not Muslim. But other than that, you're 100% right on everything. And I think Armenia is more naturally aligned outside of the CSTO than within. I think it's a better fit for them.
You're saying Armenia, it's a better fit for Armenia to kind of align with. I'm sorry, that part I didn't. With Russia or outside the CSTO?
Outside of the CSTO,
yeah.
like I said.
Yeah. That's what I. But see, the interesting thing for me is that Armenia is opening. I wonder if this is like, hey, we'll play with the U.S. and we'll make nice with Turks and with Azerbaijan because ultimately we're fucking surrounded by a bunch of countries that don't have our best interests at heart. So we'll grab on to the American ring to try to have you know what I mean? It sounds a lot like Georgia vibes to me, landlocked Georgia vibes because Armenia is landlocked. At least Georgia was on the Black Sea. All right. It's unclear with what they may do to preempt this latent threat to their country's border region, both the Caspian conflict scenario and everything that could precede it, but they're unlikely to take it lying down. Right. If anything, I see this as a motivation for Russia to kind of wrap up its threat or its war with, declare victory in Ukraine, and then wind that down, rebuild their military. So that they can start to have a fresh focus on other areas where it can continue to have influence. If they were to come back real strong with Armenia, there's a chance they could change this, but I don't know. We'll see. And Russia still has some pretty deep hooks in Turkey as well. So who says that what could be happening 2 years from now if they were to wind down the Ukraine war and start focusing on.
I propose a straight swap: Armenia for Turkey.
We'll take Armenia. They can have. Yeah. I'm with you there, brother.
I don't think it's a bad idea.
Let's see. Let's move on to the last one here, and then we'll call it a day. Mexico's president draws red line. U.S. kinetic operations against drug cartels are not welcome on her soil. No shit. Claudia Sheinbaum does not like Trump's. Let's see. Because Trump issued a directive authorizing the Department of Defense to conduct direct military operations against certain Latin American drug cartels designated foreign terror organizations. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum has firmly rejected any U.S. military presence on Mexican soil.
What if I said I objected to Israel's influence in Mexican politics? Claudia Sheinbaum.
Dim Jews. Oh boy. Are they is that to balance against Hezbollah influence in Venezuela?
Yes.
Well, I don't know. I think this falls under the look, man, the tree in your yard can get as big as it wants, but the second it's got large boughs that are threatening to fall on top of my house, the chainsaw's coming out.
Yeah, your rights end where my nose, or was it your rights end where my nose begins?
We have to change it. It's not them Jews in this one. It's Los Jews.
All right. Let's see. This is her quote. The United States is not going to come to Mexico with the military. We cooperate, we collaborate, but there's not going to be any invasion. That's going to be ruled out. Absolutely ruled out. Yeah, we'll see how that works out for you, Claudia. You can pontificate one hand, shit the other, and see which one.
We all know for a fact there is a special forces group operating in Baja under the auspices of training with the Mexican special forces. So she can say what she wants, but it's been publicized that there are American boots on the ground.
Well, the irony there, Joe, is that how many times have world leaders said one thing on one hand and then done basically 180 on the opposite? Basically they got to say to their domestic, no, these weren't killed by U.S. special operations. These were all killed by Mexican special operations.
Right.
The groups that were previously completely incompetent have now gotten so competent from all the training they've received from the U.S. counterterrorism forces.
I mean,
they have now killed all.
One guy was black, and there's not a lot of black folks hanging around in Mexico, but hey,
just because all of the narco lords died all within a 4-hour period of time through both Hellfire missiles and snipers and direct action doesn't mean the Mexican government can't do this. We've just been waiting to do this all for years.
I also think the U.S. government read Clear and Present Danger by Clancy, peace be upon him, and was like, that's not a bad idea.
Oh, excuse me. All right. Trump hemispheric defense push to secure the Americas has been to target drug cartels designated as foreign terrorist organizations. These targets include the Cartel de los Sols, Tren de Aragua, and the Sinaloa cartel. 2 of those 3 are in Venezuela, supposedly.
Can anyone find a reference to Cartel de los Sols before 2 months ago?
Yeah, good luck with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the aim here is to disrupt the financial command and control nodes first, which is underway, then physical structure of these organizations, all to break down the flow of fentanyl and human trafficking into the U.S. Through the southern border. Now, one of the things that the cartels don't have that the Islamic terror world enjoyed was the halal. What was it? What was the Islamic banking networks? What was that called, Joe? I forget the name.
I'm sorry, say it again.
The Islamic banking networks, what are they called?
Hawala.
That's right. So that was one of the ways that Al-Qaeda was able to avoid the, let's just call it the financial repercussions of U.S. FBI and other law enforcement. The irony is that, we're pretty damn good at that piece of the pie, right? When it comes to financial stuff, we got that covered. Now, the cartels don't have access to those kind of networks. Now, they do have their own kind of, money laundering nets and cash handling and all that kind of stuff. Well, but I think this is an area they'll find themselves particularly vulnerable.
I think that's why the relationship was made with the Chinese. And I think that's why the Chinese push their cryptocurrency that subverts the SWIFT network.
Well, right. So the new thing now is crypto. So imagine if Al-Qaeda back in 2000 had access to Bitcoin or hell, you could literally make your own crypto network, your own coin.
And as long as you've got a major nation state like China backing the network and covering for the traffic as well, I'm just saying it's I think that people have noticed that the US's biggest tool abroad wasn't our military, it was our ability to go through people's books. And so they removed that ability.
If you remember correctly, the interesting thing about like the financial problems that that Pablo Escobar had was that he had so much money that it was actually way harder to get his money back to Colombia and then to convert it into some sort of usable function in Colombia than it was. This was one of the reasons why he did all these civic process, kind of propped up all these civic programs, was because he had just fucking shit tons of money and nothing to do with it. So he ended up burying lots of it. And evidently they're still finding, Escobar money to this day, buried out in the jungles of Colombia. Let's see.
Yeah,
Lance Corporal Veteran for $5 says, tired of people falling for the save-face strongman stance third world failed states like Mexico take as if they had a choice to defy U.S. demand. Yeah, this is exactly right.
Yeah.
But she controls Mexico City, and that's it. So
that's about it.
What she says is purely irrelevant.
Well, it's a survival instinct, right? It's a survival instinct on her part, I would say.
Anyway, I think this is I thought this was interesting. To be continued on what the U.S. ends up doing in Mexico. By the way, I guess this is pictures of U.S. Special Forces down in Mexico training Mexican Special Forces.
I'm wondering why that guy has an ALS smoke grenade on the back of his rig. I imagine it's the guy behind him, but
to grab it. Yeah. Yeah, that's that whole breacher mentality. It's like your shit for the other guy.
Yeah.
All right. To be continued on the DOD's efforts against the drug cartels. I'm sure that we have We have not seen the end of this.
I mean, what is she gonna do when we do go into a house and smoke everyone there and announce it? She gonna announce a punitive strike on New Orleans? I don't think so.
Yeah, let's
go into hiding, more likely.
Yeah, good luck, Claudia. Let's see how this works out for you.
Well, look, guys. If anybody's got a beach saved for them somewhere in Israel, it's probably someone with the last name of Scheinbaum.
All right, Joe, around the horn, looking towards the week. What do you see in your crystal ball?
I see massive protests against Trump's actions on Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I think it will. There will be some local contingent, but the vast majority of the protesters will be bussed in from other precincts outside.
Well, I think that the vast majority of the protests will be outside of D.C. because they don't want to risk falling under draconian D.C. laws. Let's be honest. The laws as written in Washington, D.C. are pretty draconian and have caught up a lot of good people in bad things.
Yeah.
And they were complying with the law in all the states around, but not the law of Washington, D.C. So remember that can now be used against people. And I know you're going to say, oh, good, use them against Antifa. But they can be used against us, too.
Yeah, reference honest gun owner in Virginia accidentally drives into D.C., is pulled over, and then catches a 15-year gun charge for his legal concealed carry weapon in Virginia being caught in D.C. with it.
Yep, absolutely. So just watch for that.
So, yeah, if they do this, they'll be smart to be very circumspect in how they administer this action. And I don't know that that'll be the case, but we'll see. All right, Watcher, what's your take on the week?
Like Joe said, I think a DC thing's going to suck all the air out of the room. Although that does make me question, because Trump is a fairly competent operator. What else is happening that he doesn't want the left, that he would prefer the left to be freaking out about instead? Or which one of his deputies will take advantage of it in that way? It could be interesting to see. The e-bike that I talked about last week will be here Wednesday, so stand by for the review of that. And should be an interesting week. We might see some rat watches. We'll have to keep an eye out.
It will definitely, if Watcher may be going live, if there's some interesting stuff going on after dark, so keep an eye out for that. I'll be honest with you, I think I think this whole Russia Alaska deal thing might be interesting, and my prediction is the holdout won't be Russia. The holdout will be Zelensky and Ukraine. He's going to be the one that's basically going to say, not an inch of Ukrainian soil for Russian, aggression or something like that. That'll be his kind of, and he will end up blowing up the deal, and Russia will take hundreds of more square miles of Ukrainian soil because of that. In the end, the Ukraine war will turn into a frozen conflict, and Russia will retain all land that it is seized. That's my prediction. All right, gentlemen, that's all I got for today. Thank you, chat. You guys were awesome as always. Just looking to make sure. Yeah, I got all the super chats. Thank you guys for keeping up your part of the bargain in the chat. You guys are awesome as always. If you haven't done it already yet, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, tell your friends that you're getting good stuff over here on the Council on Future Conflict. For Joe, Watcher, and myself, you guys all stay safe.